link around to your friends, family, anybody who you think might be interested in this topic. So what I'm going to talk about today is, of course, 4 crucial types that you can study from the Enneagram. There's the 5, the 6, the 7, and the fighter type archetype that I've talked about many times. So you have the 5, the sage archetype. You have the 6, the friend archetype. You have the 7, the explorer archetype. All of them grouped together as head types, along with the so-called fighter. And I'm going to tell you what I think about these 4 types, and what I think they have in common. So what I think they have in common is that of managing energy, and how do we manage energy, and what do we do with energy? What is the point of energy at all to begin with? So I have 4 concepts here: to save energy, to trade energy, to use energy, to gather energy. So 4 principal directions, 4 different ways of managing your own energy, your own excitement, your own enthusiasm, your own interest in something. When you talk about the 5s, the sage types, they are often accused of being stingy. They're accused of keeping to themselves. They're accused of not wanting to share with others. So this stinginess comes from that core aim of saving energy and saving information and saving data. So they are people that are interested in data and in information in itself. They're openness types, along with the gathering 7s. So they want to get as much information as possible, but then they want to keep the information to themselves. They want to hold it back. They want to store it. They save it. They want to study it. They want to build up as much as possible. So the goal aim here is just that of getting as much information as possible, getting as much data as possible, and building up a big information bank, you can say. So this is different from the 7's idea. And the 7's idea is that information is really interesting and I want as much as possible. So I'm going to go out and gather it. So there's a aim here of that information and energy is everywhere around us, and we have to go out and find it and explore it and learn about it and go out and get as much as possible. So the 7 Enneagram types, they are constantly searching for energy in the world around them or inside of themselves. So they're going and they're thinking, where can I find more energy? And then you have the 5s, the sages, and they are going from that aim of the energy you already have and how you can use it, and what more data you can get from it, and how you can save it, how you can manage it to your best possible. And 7s have so much in common in comparison with the 6 and the fighter types. So the friends and the fighters, their idea is that information is pointless or useless. I don't need information or energy in itself. The important thing is not the energy, it's not the information, but it is what you do with it. So there is a desire to trade it for something. In return for giving you my energy, I want to get this or that. In return of using my energy towards this or that aim, I hope to achieve that or that. So there's an idea here that information is something, energy is something you spend and use to get something. And what is it you want to get from this? Well, it's perhaps material resources. Perhaps it's something a little more physical. Perhaps it's friendship. Perhaps it's closeness. Perhaps it is authorities. Perhaps it is trust. Perhaps it is that of things that you can hold on to, things that you can do with it. So the idea is, why are we open? Why are we open-minded? Why do we entertain new possibilities? Why do we think about new ideas? I think anybody who is an openness type has encountered that of creative resistance. And creative resistance is whenever you have a new idea, other people are going to say that's a waste of time, that's a waste of energy, that's a waste of resources, that's a waste of, why are we doing it? Like the principal aim might be like, okay, why are we doing it? Why do we need this idea? Why do we need to consider this opportunity? Why do we need to think about this to begin with? So you have people out there that need to hear why. They need to be marketed, sold, an explanation, and the energy and information and projects and creative pursuits. They're pointless unless you can get somewhere with it. So you have the 5 and the 7 attitude, and that is that an idea is fun in itself and a creative possibility that's interesting on its own. And oh yes, I want to think about that, and yeah, I want to consider that, and that's an interesting possibility, and perhaps that could be turn out to be pretty fun, or perhaps that could be turn out to be pretty worthwhile. And even if it's not, let's do it anyways. The 5 and the 7 philosophy is just that the creative pursuit or the pursuit of learning is the highest end result. It doesn't matter if you are proven wrong in science, because that means you've learned something. Where the fighter takes being proven wrong very harshly, they don't want to be told they're wrong. They don't want to have to recognize that their opinion is incorrect. The warrior, the fighter archetypes, they're holding on to and they're maintaining their beliefs, just like the 6, the friend, wants to maintain friendship and trust. They're holding on to their opinions and they're trying to find a stable, tested, and true approach to everything. So the fighter type is going to be pushing on their belief, and they're going to keep working towards it even when it has been proven to be wrong or incorrect. And they're going to want to, because there is still a chance, perhaps, that if you push a lot enough, if you work hard enough, that it can be turned into a correct answer, or you can change people's minds, or you can get people to listen to you anyways. So the 5 goes, oh, I'm wrong. I have to back down, and I have to reconsider, and I have to consider other options, and I have to start on the next hypothesis, and I have to explore the next possibility. And the 7 goes, oh, I'm wrong. Okay, but what is there then? Maybe that's interesting. Maybe I could try that. Maybe I could go explore that. Maybe I could go to that place. So 5s and 7s, they're learning types, so they move on quickly. They're going to want to learn other things, and they're going to want to take on new projects. There's a little bit of a difference here, because 5s, of course, take mistakes harshly. If they made a mistake, if they were wrong about something, they're going to back down. 7s are going to just move on and move forward and be like, okay with it. But 5s, they're going to back down. Oh, I was wrong. Time to go back to the study room. Time to think about it. Time to rewrite my conclusions, check my data, check my logic till I get the right answer. But the 7 is going to be like, hey, okay, I just go to the next thing. And I have that argument a lot with people. I keep finding that while I'm often caught up in the creative potential of learning, I'm a person that loves the chance to learn, to explore new things, and to try out new things. And what I end up finding is that other people keep stopping me or holding me back. Growing up early, when I was younger, I felt held back a lot in school and by other people. People told me, slow down, Erik. What if you're wrong? What if you're not right? What if you miss something? Why are you in such a rush to go to the next level, to try something new? Why do you have to read ahead? Why do you have to try new things? And this came from, of course, they were trying to protect me, and they were trying to save me, and they were trying to store. So they knew I had potential. They knew I had energy. They knew I had enthusiasm, but they thought, don't waste that enthusiasm. So their idea is that enthusiasm is something that can be wasted, that it can be spent, that it can be used, that it can be thrown away. So they're very afraid of that, very afraid of the thought that what if our energy is thrown away, and what if it's gone, and what if there is not going to be any energy anymore, what if there's not going to be any interest anymore. So I never thought that was possible. I never thought that I could run out of energy, that I could hit the wall, or that there would come a point where there was no interest left, no energy left, where I had jumped so far ahead that I had put so much resources, so much energy into something that I would lose and have nothing left. And it just shows that people see energy differently. That I think there's always more. There's always more to get somewhere else. There's always something in the next place. There's always something in the next theory, something in the next idea. And I can recognize that perhaps my attitude has. Thanks for joining in a short while, Bethany. Thanks for dropping by at least. So yeah, what I want to say is that there have been times where other people have been right, and where I perhaps have ended up spending all my energy and putting it all into something that never led anywhere. I think there's been quite a lot of times where I've done that, actually. So that's a sobering conclusion that, yeah, you cannot just keep on gathering. You cannot just keep on finding new things. You cannot just keep on hoping there's going to be something in the next jump. This lifestyle, it's risky. It's sometimes going to lead to failures. It's sometimes going to lead to big failures. And what the stream. I have noticed that I have a tendency to exhaust myself. There comes a point where I'm like, I've been putting so much energy into things. I've been working so hard on things. I've been putting so much into something. And then I've woken up the next day and I've been like completely dead, completely empty, completely spent. And so what I've learned to watch out for is stubbornness. Hi, happy Saturday, Ken. Thanks for joining in. I have to watch out for stubbornness. And that means, spending too much energy is different from gathering energy. So sometimes I think that I'm spending energy, that I'm gathering energy, but in reality I'm spending energy. I'm pouring myself into something, but getting nothing back from it. So I don't always realize when I'm pouring myself into something, but getting nothing back. And I'm not realizing how that blocks learning and growth and interest and energy, and how that can drain me. So I'm learning to not get stubborn. Read, of course, about all these Enneagram types. In the links that I sent here. My Enneagram type is 7. I believe it's 7. I believe it's 7 because I am sometimes in too much of a rush. I'm sometimes too restless. I'm sometimes too hungry for more, for the chance to learn more and to get deeper into something. I don't think I've thought 5, but I've realized that while I think I go into 5 when I'm in a healthy state of mind, that in my average, in my balanced, in my usual, I am more inclined to gather than to save. So what that means is I'm always taking in, and I have a lot of information resources that I'm always exploring. I'm reading a lot, and I have a lot of input. I have a lot of channels I watch. I have a lot of people I talk to. I have a lot of theories that I'm exploring, a lot of things that I'm constantly investigating. So I think I'm a 7, the seeker, explorer, discoverer type, and I really feel like that fits me, that archetype, because I see myself as the discoverer. I see myself as the person who is going out, pioneering new subjects and research fields, and checking out new places and trying out new things, and being the first to somewhere, being the first to think about something, or to ask a question, or to go into something. And that's different from the sage, because I'm less interested in proving it and developing it and mastering it to perfection. I'm less inclined to just keep on perfecting it, the one theory, more inclined to try new things and to explore new viewpoints and angles. So you have the 6 archetype, and that's the friend archetype. So the 6 is the trader, or the friend, or the person who is constantly inclined in sharing information, making sure everybody has information, making sure everybody knows about something, making sure everybody thinks the same thing, has the same idea, has the same follows the same approach. The idea of the 6 is, if people start doing different things, if people start trying out other angles, danger, big chance of danger. The 6 starts getting afraid when people are experimenting with new approaches. The 6 starts and assumes often that when people are trying out new things, that they are just misinformed or just about to make mistakes. Yeah, stranger danger. No, just that the 6 assumes that creativity sometimes comes from misinformation. There is already a solution, there is already an answer, there is already information. You don't need to check that out, you don't need to explore that. And so you're going to have to explain to the 6 why you're exploring it and what the purpose is and what the point is. So the 6 needs an explanation and a point in a creative search. So yeah, you have to remind them that you're doing it to be a good friend. You have to remind them that you're doing it for the group and that it doesn't hurt, and perhaps it could lead to this, perhaps this idea could be used for that, perhaps it could help us with this. So you're going to have to tell the 6 why you're doing it and for what point. The same goes, of course, for the fighter. And the fighter, you need to explain to the fighter that you're just having a healthy difference in opinion, that it's just a healthy difference in opinion, that you admire their hard-headedness and their stubbornness. That you know that energy that can take them very far. It can take them. It can allow them to do the impossible, to do the things that you didn't think were going to happen. You can admire the outgoingness of that type, because the warrior is a very outgoing type. And you can admire that ability to save a situation, in a sense, because that's often the fighter's core goal, to save a situation. Okay, the status quo is starting to fall apart. What can I do to save it? What can I do to protect the truth or the balance that we have created? The 5 and the 6, the friend and the sage, they are analytical types. So the analytical types, they're more reserved. They're more careful before they formulate an answer, and they want to think things through clearly, and they want to think things through carefully. So they're coming from that energy, that green or blue energy of just keeping things in check and double checking and waiting and seeing and observing and testing and looking at what other people do and seeing how they do it and seeing if there's a better way to do it before you do it. Just getting as much information as possible, or just practicing as much as possible before you do something. That's the 5 and 6 approach. I have a test for this. I'll link you the test. Second, getting the link, copying the link, pasting the link. Here you go. The test, the Erik Thor personality test. It has an Enneagram test. So it gives you a result with your personality type and MBTI and also your Enneagram type at the same time. So I hope that can help. And then you can come on Discord and then you can share your results and we can talk about it and we can help find out if it was the right one or not. So your NE is quite active at collecting a lot of information. You have enthusiasm too, and this can be associated to 7. Yeah, so I believe that extroverted perceivers are not necessarily gatherers. I tend to say extroverted perceivers are adapters. What's an adapter? An adapter is somebody that puts an idea into practice, puts energy into practice, puts information into practice. So you learn something new, you see how something is going on, you observe something, you analyze something, and then you apply it. Extroverted perceivers are the appliers of the MBTI. So extroverted perceivers are always going, so what can we do with this? How can we use that? What can we do with this now? And that's the important word, now. What can we do with this now, at this moment? How can we do and employ this? Okay, you have a goal, you're a judger, you have a goal, that's cool. How can we put this to practice now? What does this goal mean? How are you meeting up to this goal in this moment? You say you have these rules that you live by. How well are you realizing these rules in this situation? Okay, you say that you have these values and morals that are important to you. How are you living in accordance with these morals then at this moment? So the extroverted perceiver is always looking at this moment. Okay, what are people doing in this moment? How are they doing it? How are they pursuing something? And they can pursue and realistically understand that the goals are vague and broad, and that people can say they have a goal, but then they can end up doing something completely different. So perceivers, they're constantly focused on the events and actions and things, decisions we take in the moment. And that's often why, to me, extroverted perceivers are not the gatherers, but the adapters of the MTI. And the 7s are the gatherers. So you can be an extroverted perceiving gatherer. You can be an adapter gatherer, basically. So what you're doing is you're gathering ideas and then you're putting them to practice. How many ideas do we have? Okay, everyone in the group, what do you think? What do you think? What do you explore? What are you learning about? Okay, then you can go and explore that there, and then you can put that to practice there, and then you can test that out, and then you can test that out, and I can test this idea out. So that's the extroverted perceiving gatherer. Then you have the extroverted perceiving sage or saver. So what this one is doing is they are analyzing something, they're studying something, they're testing something, they're correcting something, they're looking at how it's being done, and then you're looking at how can you do this better? How can we do this better? How can we do this more accurately? How can we in this moment do this more accurately? How can we understand how can we test this in this moment? How can we understand that in this moment? So the extroverted perceiving 5 is the person that looks at testing and proving research and science and understanding things from the perspective of this moment. So when I look at the MBTI and the Enneagram, I look at them as separate systems. And I think we constantly confuse the two dichotomies and we misattribute each other's with each other's. And we say all any extroverted perceiving types are 7s, all introverted intuitives are 5s, but that's not necessarily true. And the more of us start thinking about this and the more of us start asking these questions, what is an introverted perceiving 5 and how is it different from an extroverted judging 5? The more things that we are going to learn. So everybody, join up on Discord. Join up on the Discord after talk. And do check all the new channels that are coming. The channels for discussing the Enneagram types, the MTI types, everything. There's going to be a lot of changes on Discord, making it a lot more easy to read, a lot more organized, a lot more fun, and a lot more. It's going to promote learning. It's going to promote discussion. It's going to help explain some of the concepts that we're talking about in these videos. It's gonna take us deeper. So thanks everyone for joining up in today's short live stream, and I hope to see you all in the next video.